Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, as we all know, the Lions just released their final, cuts for this offseason. And I know for a lot of Lions fans, the first thing they're going to focus on, the very first thing they're going to focus on is Ahmed Hazanin has been cut. He's been waived with an injury settlement. It's definitely a shock. It's definitely a surprise. It's definitely not something that I was expecting. But before you go grabbing your pitchforks and before you all go screaming bloody murder, back up and just listen for half a second to what I have to say as to why I think this happened. Number one, I wanted us to keep Hazanin. I thought for certain, even with his pectoral injury, I thought the Lions might stow him on one of the injured lists and they could use that, they could keep that and, use that to, have him still on the team, but without him accounting towards the 53-man roster. I thought that was what they were going to do. So the fact that they didn't probably tells me that the injury was way more severe than what we thought it was going to be. So as much as I liked Hazanin, as much as I hoped that he was going to make the team, and I thought he was before the injury, the fact that he's gone, yeah, that's a surprise. It's a shock. But there's other news within these cuts that are even more important, that spell even more as to what I think the Lions are about to do, that are worth talking about. Let me explain here. Everybody's looking at all the names and they're trying to digest all that information. I understand that. Because within that list of names that came out, there were 4 edge rushers that were cut. Obviously, Nate Lynn was cut yesterday. Hazanin was cut today along with Isaac Ukwu. Yeah, Ukwu got cut as well. So, okay, the Lions within that list of names, and I'm going to put it up on the screen so that way you guys can kind of look at it. Within that list of names, they had 4 defensive ends edge rushers that they cut. Which means that now, by my math, if I'm correct, and I'm not impervious to being wrong, but that means that right now, the Lions are looking at their edge rushing room consisting of Hutch, Davenport, Alquadin Muhammad, and Pat O'Connor. That's kind of where their edge rushing room is at primarily. That's primarily where it's at. But here's the thing. Within that news that, all that happened, you have also to understand that the Lions are not at 53 men on their roster. They're actually, in fact, at 50. That right there is a huge bit of news. And pardon me if I keep looking down because I'm checking my phone while I'm doing this, and there's a specific reason why I am. The reason why is because if you have 50 men on your roster and you're allowed to have 53, you do the quick math. That means there's 3 open roster spots. You just cut 4 edge rushers. What would make the most logical sense in the damn world right now? You go and you sign Za'Darius Smith. Everybody and their brother has heard all damn offseason that Zadarius Smith wants to come back to Detroit, that the Lions have been keeping in regular contact with him and his agent, that there is interest between both parties. You just got done cutting all of these guys and you have 3 open roster spots on your roster, which means if there is a free agent that doesn't have to go through the waiver wire, like Zadarius Smith available, all you have to do is put pen to paper and he's on the roster. He's on the team. And you don't have to worry about trying to cut or maneuver or finagle somebody else to open up a roster spot. And here's what makes it even better. If and when, because I do honestly believe it's going to happen, I do believe the Lions are about to sign, Za'Darius Smith. That means you still have 2 other roster spots that are available, which tells me this. Okay, not only are the Lions planning on bringing back Za'Darius Smith, but when you have 2 roster spots open, that leads me to think one of 2 things is about to happen. Either one of the guys that they have on their injured lists, they are thinking is going to be back sooner than what they're anticipating, or they're getting ready to bring somebody else in. Because why would you not fill all your roster spots, leave 3 open, if not because you're planning on still making more moves? That's what that tells me. You have 3 roster spots still available. That tells me you're still planning on making moves. And I've been talking to my friends in my chats, and I've been talking to other people. I'm like, listen, move numero uno, number 1, has got to be signing freaking Zadarius Smith. It has to be. There's no other explanation as to why the Lions have made the moves that they have. You cut 4 edge rushers. You now are left with pretty much 3 starting level edge rushers in Al-Quadin Muhammad and also Hutch and also Davenport. But outside of Hutch, you really don't have anybody that is of a superior talent. Yeah, Davenport's good, but obviously the big question with him is how long can he stay healthy? Yes, we've heard how he's changed his diet. We've heard how he's changed his regimen. We've heard that he's in a much better place physically in being able to take on the rigors of an NFL season. But until he's actually able to prove that he can play for a full NFL season, that question is going to continue to linger in the back of people's minds. But we also know that freaking Brad Holmes himself has stated he wants to have an edge rushing room that has 4 or 5 guys in it. Well, wait a minute here. By my math, if you bring in Zadarius Smith and you add him to Hutch, Davenport, and Al-Quadin Muhammad, you've got a damn powerful edge rushing rotation. Al-Quadin Muhammad did pretty damn good for us last year. I think he had like a 14% pass rush win rate. Zadarius Smith had close to an 18.5%, if not a little bit higher than that. Marcus Davenport, when he's healthy, we know he's a difference maker. And dude, and obviously with Hutch, it's like the guy finished with what, a 38.7 pass rush win rate last year, if I recall correctly. Can you just honestly imagine the edge rushing just, mayhem that the Lions defense could absolutely invoke on opposing offenses with that 4-man edge rushing rotation? Dude, you would have offensive lines screaming for mercy. That's why when I take a look at the cuts, yeah, they're shocking, they're surprising, but they all tell me exactly what I said earlier. The Lions are going to sign Za'Darius Smith. Everything else is not... I'm stumbling over my words because it's like, listen, nothing else makes sense when you take a look at how these moves have been made. Nothing else could possibly make sense. You cut all these edge rushers, you free up 3 spots for your final 53-man roster because you only have 50. What the hell else does that tell you? It tells me that you're going to go out and you're going to make moves. You're going to sign players. Because we know that the Lions are looking to poach guys. Well, that tells me that either, like I said, they're looking to add players that are in the free agent market of guys that have been released, or they're looking to, keep spots open for guys to come back potentially earlier than what they're expecting. Well, to me, it's like, I would think that, the first 4 games of the year, you've got some pretty big opponents that you've got to make sure you knock down. Obviously, there's the Packers game that we got coming up on September 7th. You got to knock that one down. You've then got the Bears game, revenge game, grudge matchup in regards to Ben Johnson coming back to town. You have to knock that one down. And then you've got the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football, Week 4. Or is it Sunday Night Football? I don't care. Either way, it's a primetime game. Those are 3 massive games you've got to knock down. You have to get those secured. So to me, it's like, why would you not then, if you're going to open up all of those extra roster spots, allow yourself, and I'm sorry, folks, my camera wanted to, unfocus there for a minute, so I do apologize for that. But why would you not open up all those roster spots if you're not planning on bringing people in to make the roster better? Why would you not do that? So again, these moves tell me exactly what I've been suspecting for weeks now. if not months. The Lions' plan all along was to bring back Za'Darius Smith. But as I said this morning, I believe that they were waiting until the roster cuts were finalized to make sure they had given everybody that they had on their roster that was of a young nature a real honest-to-goodness chance to show what they could do before they made a final decision. And again, I'm pretty confident that because Zadarius Smith has not shown any interest anywhere else, despite now reports that there are multiple contending teams that are showing interest in him, there's already been an arrangement in place that said, listen, once we get to the end of roster cuts, we're going to bring you back. Because the reports are all stating the exact same thing about Zadarius Smith. He's in football shape. He is ready to rock and roll. He is ready to play. I mean, tell me how that does not make any sense. Tell me how the Lions not having an arrangement in place and that, Zadarius Smith has kept himself in football shape, kept himself in the mindset to be ready to go, how that does not make any sense. If that's exactly what the Lions have done, and I believe there's no reason to doubt that it isn't, that is a brilliant stratagem that Brad Holmes was able to pull off with Zadarius Smith. Now, obviously, the whole thing that we've got to bear in mind here is that we have to wait for the announcement that the Lions are going to sign him, which I would like to think is not going to take very long at all. There's been talk all offseason about how the Lions have expressed interest in bringing him back and how Zadarius Smith wants to come back. So it's like, listen, you're done with your roster cuts. You've got 3 open spots. All you got to do is hit that phone dial pad and you got to call to Zadarius and you're like, hey man, let's get this done. Let's get you back in the building. Let's get you on your way to possibly winning a Super Bowl here in Detroit. That's exactly what that spells to me. Now, the real question, other than the whole thing with Zadarius Smith, is who are those other 2 roster spots for? Because, like I said, one of those roster spots definitely has Zadarius Smith's name on it. I pretty much am just de facto putting his name there because I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't be. But I have to ask myself this question. Who else is Brad Holmes thinking can be put in those 2 spots? Who else is he thinking about to potentially put there? Because again, it could be for a guy that he's thinking is going to come back right away or sooner than expected. Maybe a Josh Pascal. Who knows? We already know that chances are Lee McNeil's not going to be ready until the early midpoint of the season. Same thing is even more further true for Malcolm Rodriguez. We've already been told he's probably not going to be ready until November. So it's like, okay there, it's probably not for them, at least not for a little while anyway. So it's like, okay, well then who the hell is it for? Who are those 2 roster spots outside of the one that I'm claiming is already going to be for Zadarius? Who are they for? That's the real question. That's the real mystery. But I'm telling you this right now, yes, seeing Hazanin go, it hurts, it shocks, it surprises. But at the same time, you have to be able to read between the lines and understand exactly what is going on here. The Lions, they're not done making moves. When you have 3 roster spots left open, the Lions are going to make moves. Brad Holmes is already working the phone banks and he's already starting to make calls to try and get people in. I am 100% certain on that one. I'm going to just say this right now. Like I said, I'm not impervious to being wrong. But I'm going to tell you this. I would be absolutely shocked, 100% shocked, if somehow Zadarius Smith does not get on the roster when you have 3 open roster spots. I would be absolutely shocked, 100%. Because every bit of information, every move that has been transpired up until this point, that tells me exactly that's what the Lions are going to do. There's just no other possible logical explanation I can think of. There's just none. So to me, it's like, at this point now, we're just waiting for the news of Zadarius Smith coming back to Detroit to don the Honolulu blue and silver. And think about it this way. He's going to get his old number back, number 99, because, well, Broderick Martin's not here. So, again, everything's kind of moving towards that direction. And I guarantee you this, yeah, losing Hazanin sucks. But I guarantee you this, on top of that, you announced that Zadarius Smith is going to come back. I guarantee you that's going to become a very, very quick footnote in the whole grand scheme of, okay, Za'Darius Smith is back. Our defense is 100% solidified. Let's go to a Super Bowl. Let's get ourselves that Super Bowl Lombardi trophy that we've been waiting for so damn long. That's all that's going to matter. That is literally the only storyline that is going to matter out of the entirety of this day or the next day, is that Za'Darius Smith is back. That's all that's going to matter. Write it down, book it down, bank it, I don't care. That's literally what I'm saying. But anyway, folks, I'm going to end this episode. I know there's a lot to digest here, but I'm trying my best to kind of compartmentalize it and break it down as easy and quickly as possible. So, having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. If you like the content, I hope to gain your subscription if I've not yet done so already. If you just subscribed and you not had a chance to do so, or you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.